ladies and gentlemen, to the Carolina Conversation. But today, for these few minutes, we're going to talk about the current Carolina basketball team and what we've seen and what we need to do to progress. And ladies and gentlemen, I have a great guest with me today, none other than one of my teammates, one of the great basketball players at the University of North Carolina, and also an NBA champion. I have with me television's owned and the University of North Carolina's own Brendan Haywood. How you doing, B?
What's going on, my guy? Glad to be here. Happy to be on with you. The hardest working man in Carolina basketball history, Shammond Williams, man. So I'm glad to be here, man. So let's get it cracking.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time to, talk about Carolina's current basketball team, this 2019-2020 season. Have you had an opportunity to watch the kids play?
Yeah, this season, I've been, and it's only been a couple of games, but
right.
I like what I see. I think we're definitely going to be better than last year. And so, stop laughing. But I like Caleb. I like Caleb Love. I like Payne, the big fella inside, coming off the bench. I like Armando. So I like all those guys. They're just young. And so they lost a tough game the other day to Texas at the buzzer. There were some mistakes where, I saw Caleb Love trying to do some things that, like he tried to enter the ball late in the game into the post from the top of the key. You can't do that. You got to dribble around to the side or you got to hit the wingman. You can't try to throw that wraparound pass. And so I see those type of mistakes that I expect from young teams, that they won't be making those mistakes when we get to, February, March.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of been my observation as well. I think that they're a young basketball team. I think this year we're going to be most definitely more interior than we are perimeter. Yeah. Even though we have some young guards out there, I really like the interior presence. I like what we've been able to do to try to get the basketball on the inside. And there's a lot of growth, like you said before. I think the season's going to be predicated on the growth of the young guards. But we have a lot of great things to look forward to. Has there been one individual on the team that stands out for you?
For me, it's got to be Brooks. And it's just maybe not so much for what he's done this season, but for the growth of his game. When he first got to Carolina, I loved how he played hard, but I didn't know how good he was going to be. And every year, Brooks just gets better and better and better. And so I love that because, Shammond, that was the journey that I had. When I first got there, a lot of people didn't think I was going to be any good, and then every year I just tried to continue to get better. And I see that with Brooks. And like a guy that I didn't think had a chance of playing in the NBA his rookie year has a real shot to possibly be drafted this season if he continues his improvement. So maybe not just what Brooks has done in these first couple of games, but what he's done in his career, Brooks has done a lot.
Yeah, I would second that. I think that he has had a lot of growth. I like where he's going with this growth. And I think there's a lot more. I think because of our system and the way that we play, it kind of keeps you in a certain environment or certain realm at that point in time. But I think there's a lot of growth for him. I think he'll continue to show people that he's capable of shooting that 15-foot shot. I mean, the other day when they called the foul, he shot the three and made the three. And so I think there's a lot of growth to him in having an opportunity to be a professional. The one kid that really stands out to me, and it's not because what he's had an opportunity to do, but I think what he's not had an opportunity to do, and he's kind of like me to a certain extent, but he was a McDonald's All-American. I like the kid Walker Kessler. I like Kessler, if I'm not mistaken. Kessler, that's his name. Yeah, Kessler. I like him, and the reason I like him is because he only gets probably 5 to 7 minutes a game, but he comes out, he plays hard, he bangs, he seals people. You see he has a great understanding of the game. Right. But more importantly, the most important thing for me is you see he's selfless. I mean, here it is, you're top 15 in America. You choose to go to North Carolina that already has 2 bigs, and they get Day'Ron Sharp that's already committed, and you still choose to come to University of North Carolina. It says a lot about him as a person. That he's willing to go in there and work and battle to get his opportunity. And I just, I think, personally, I hold him in high regard just from his decision making. You know, what do you think about things like that? Because as a freshman, you had to do the same thing, come in where, you know, there were other dominant bigs and, have not an opportunity to play as much as you possibly, you probably should have.
Yeah, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, you have to take advantage of the minutes that you get. And when you're young, sometimes you don't understand that. You sometimes think, hey, listen, man, I should be playing. Right. You know, like, hey, my freshman year, I'm like, man, they got a 6-man rotation. You tell me I can't be the 7th man? I ain't asking for much. I ain't asking to start. I'm just saying that next man, can I be that guy? And so at that time, I didn't understand just to be grateful for the opportunity. And if you continue to do your job, your opportunity will expand. And I think that's where Kessler is right now, where, hey, he's grateful for the opportunity. If I keep doing what I'm going to do, there's going to be some games where Brooks or Armando have foul trouble. There's going to be a game where maybe Sharp isn't playing as well. Keep doing your job and your opportunity will come. But that's easy to say when you're on the side that we on now. When you in the middle of it, I want my minutes. But I like the way this young man has handled it.
Yeah, no question. And so, last thing, what type of future do you see us as a program? I know you can't look into a crystal ball, but where do you see us going? Where do you see us going as a
basketball? I mean, farther than this year, as a basketball program, I think Carolina is going to continue to be great. I think we're going to continue to recruit great talent. And I think the biggest step for UNC moving forward is who is going to be Roy's successor. Roy has had an incredible run at UNC, but we know whether we're talking about 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, however, at some point, Roy's going to have to step down and pass the torch to somebody. And we have to, who's in the pipeline, who's going to get that job, that's going to determine if Carolina is going to continue to be successful for the next 30 years. And I think that we have enough guys in the pipeline that type of thing should be a smoother transition. I'm gonna go ahead and say something, right? Say something. I think they need to get my boy right here on the staff. They got to get my boy on the staff because I just really think that being successful in college basketball is different than it was 30 years ago.
Right.
You got to be able to relate to the kids. You got to get somebody that understands what's going on Instagram, what's going on in a Jeezy versus Gucci Mane battle. Like, it might not mean anything to some people, but that means a lot when you're trying to recruit a kid from the heart of Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, you got to know what's TikTok, what's pop, all that stuff. And I think that's where I think you would be great on the staff. I think you would be an excellent recruiter. So I think that's key, is figuring out who's going to be the next head coach when Roy steps down, and how does the staff continue to fill out. And how do we stay current with these young guys, man? Make sure that we popping. We got to be the popping school.
No question. Well, I appreciate that a great deal, man. And God,
find my guy.
Yeah, hopefully I can get back in it. Looking forward to it. But I appreciate you being with us. And now we're going to transition to the Antawn Jamison Carolina Conversation podcast interview. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Carolina Conversation. I'm your host, Shammond Williams. And today we have a great with us, ladies and gentlemen. He's one of the best players to ever play at the University of North Carolina. He came to University of North Carolina in 1995 as a McDonald's All-American. He was also the 1998 Naismith Player of the Year. If you go to the Dean Dome, you'll find his name and number on the front line. He's from Charlotte, North Carolina, none other than one of my greatest teammates and great friends and brother, Antawn Cortez Jamison.
Last time I heard somebody say Cortez, my man. What's up, Sha? How you doing, baby?
I'm good, baby. I'm good. Well, see, the great thing about Cortez is when you hear somebody call it, it's somebody that really knows you.
They really know you. Yeah.
They really know you.
They know you know you, yeah.
Yeah, they no question about it. No question about it. And so one thing I'd like to say before we go on any further is, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you please subscribe to the Field of 68 Network. If you like the Carolina Conversation, make sure you subscribe. And they ask you how many stars. Please give me 5. But they ask you, do you like me? Don't tell me you like me. Give me some constructive criticism. Please give me some constructive criticism so I can learn to be better as I talk to my brother. But Twan, how you doing, man? Up there in D.C. right now. Up there in D.C., what's going on?
Oh man, business as usual. The pandemic kind of like has got everybody kind of going through some unusual and unforeseen circumstances. But the one thing I love about my field, we've been able to still plug away, work as usual. A lot of stuff has been on the Zoom. But we had a draft coming up on Wednesday, and I drove up. A lot of our scouts came in town, and we're doing the social distancing and things of that nature. But just plugging away, man, just trying to get this thing going in the right direction and doing the thing that I love to do the best, the most, the game of basketball and trying to change not only this organization, but these young men's lives who's about to make that next step. And, you and I both been through that journey together, getting drafted and fulfilling our dreams. So I got a couple more days here, and then I'm back home to my daddy daycare and enjoying life to the fullest, man. You know me.
Well, good. There's nothing wrong with daddy daycare. That's right. I'm in that every day. But for those who don't know, Antoine's with the Washington Wizards. And so could you please give them some understanding or a sense of what you're doing with the Wizards organization?
I'm director of pro personnel. So what that entitled is pretty much anything that has to do with the Washington Wizards. I do anything from helping out with trades to drafting players, the free agency, the G League, any and everything. So my normal season consists of going to G League games, going to NBA practices, going to as many basketball games as possible, and just trying to do whatever I can to help out the Wizards, whether it's trying to find a guy that we can trade. Once again, we've been doing the draft for the last, since the pandemic started, because that's right when college basketball had ended.
Right.
So I just been anything you can think of that has to deal with the game, the NBA game. I'm pretty much invested and pretty much have my hand and my ears to pretty much everything on that aspect of it.
Well, good, man.
Yeah.
Well, they have
keeps me busy. I tell you that much.
I know that's right. That's right. Well, the way that you're doing things and the way that you've propelled yourself in the NBA game itself. There's probably a year, 2, 3 years. I know you say you want to keep getting your feet wet, but possibility that you'll have an opportunity to run your own organization, and that'll be great because. The one thing that I will say about us as Carolina basketball players, we have that curse. And everybody say, well, what's the curse? Yeah. We have a way of doing things. We like winning, and there's certain things that we're looking at that we understand that will help us get to those places. So I know you'll be great at it. I know you're great at it, as you, like I said before, you've transformed yourself, and you're doing great things there. But what I want to do for myself and for the fans is let's go back in time. Let's rewind this. Let's go back in time.
You're gonna tell how old we are right about now.
hey man, that's a blessing.
I'd rather be getting old and not old at all, so I'm not complaining.
There is another option. That's what I said. But
that's not on the table right now.
Yeah, let's go back to 1995, man. 1995. Mm-hmm. What made Antawn Jamison choose the University of North Carolina?
Actually, Shammond, if you want to be honest, I made that decision probably in 93, 94. For me, the most important thing, I was born in Shreveport, Louisiana, right. And my parents wanted the best for all their kids. So they knew in order to give their kids the best education, the best opportunities in life, they had to make a move. And at that particular time, Hurricane Hugo hit the Charlotte area. My dad was a construction worker, and he told my mom the next place I go, I feel like it's a great place to raise our kids. I'm gonna fly you up, you come check it out. If you agree upon it, that's where we're gonna move to. And fortunate enough, we moved to Charlotte, and I was kind of late to like the Duke, Carolina, NC State rivalry being in Charlotte, because that's like pretty much where it's very hot at. So I remember playing in the AAU circuit, going down to the Myrtle Beach beach ball classic and things of that nature, and playing AAU basketball. And I remember like Coach Ford and Coach Smith coming to the games. And for me, the first schools I went in and did unofficial visits to were NC State. I went and saw Chris Cortiani and, you know, Fire and Ice and those guys. I went to Duke, you know, Grant Hill and Lang and all those guys was there. But when I stepped on that Carolina campus, and you would attest to this, you know, it's something that hits you when you hit that college campus, that you envision yourself playing, you know, walking through the campus and things of that nature. And it was just something about not only that Carolina feel, but sitting down and talking to Coach Smith and Bill Guthridge and the personality of Coach Ford and the seriousness of Dave Hanners and those guys. And it felt like home for me. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to stay close to Charlotte because I wanted my mom and dad to come up and see as many games as possible. So I made the decision, 93, 94. And 95, you know, for me, I was just happy that I'm in college. You know, the ultimate goal, of course, was I saw myself as this NBA player and things of that nature. I wasn't thinking that far, but I just wanted to go to a place where I can showcase my talents and whatever happens, happens. Right. And the thing I love about it, and you can probably attest to it as well, you know, meeting guys like Ademola Okulaja and Vince and yourself and Crazy Maktar and Jeff McGinnis was a junior then, and Serge Wicker and Ed Geff, all those guys that I talk about, you know, still to this day, we keep in contact. We call each other's brothers. If anything happens, if we need something, we can make a phone call and it's right there. Mm-hmm. And that was the feeling I had when I visit Carolina. I visit Carolina and I just felt like no matter what happens, if I was able to attain my goal and my dream as far as playing in the NBA or not, I would still have guys that I played with, that relationship life after basketball. Right. And it was all because of the one individual, Coach Smith, and his vision and the lessons that he taught us, you know, about family is important, you know, about, you know, friendship and things of that nature. And for me, you know, 1995, stepping on that campus, you know, you allowed me to ride the rodeo and stuff like that. I mean, it was just, I had, you know, I was always that big brother to my younger sister and brother, but I had like 9 or 10 big brothers that looked out for me on the court and off the court. And I went to the best place ever to learn how to become a better basketball player. And I tell kids now, I mean, you have kids as well. When you graduate high school and you make that transition to college, and we was fortunate enough, we played a sport. As a parent, you want to trust somebody who's going to, you know, take care of your kids and make that transition, a positive transition, because you hear so many stories about kids who finally leave the house and they go to college and the coach didn't really care about them, or he didn't have their best interests at heart. And I felt that Coach Smith was the best coach to take a 17, 18-year-old kid and do the best job possible to transform him into being a better man and preparing for the rest of the world. So it was an easy decision for me. Gotcha. I have no regrets, and I learned so much. I have brothers who I call my brothers, my older brothers, my, you know, the same age brothers, guys that I love. And, you know, and I'm fortunate, man. I get on my knees every night to be blessed to have been put in the perfect situations. And I tell people today, if I never went to Carolina, it'll be an Antawn Jamison, but it wouldn't be the guy that you see that, you know, me and you are talking to right now. And the father that I am, the son that I am, the brother, the friend, I learned all those qualities and all those things by attending the University of North Carolina and taking a chance.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's interesting that you speak about family and that family environment and your family, because, you know, when you first came to campus, you know, yeah, Antawn Jamison was coming to campus, but Nobody was like Mr. Jamison.
Oh man, Shammond is funny, man. Still to this day, man.
That's my man right
Hey,
there.
man, still to this day,
Him and
boy.
Miss Kathy, boy, yeah.
Yeah, man. He. You know what? And every time I speak about you or Mac and those guys, man, he starts smiling because he was there when he seen all of us collectively. We won together, we lost together, we learned together, we cried together.
Yeah.
And it was like, man, you know what? I remember all y'all young pups, and you know, man, just trying to figure life out. So when you hear good things, you hear you got married, hear you have kids, you know, Vince having kids, it's like, you know what? That's my grandchild. You know how they doing, because he felt like he helped us, and for him, man, it was just therapy to like know that my child is happy and I can trust my child with this group of boys and men, and they're making this journey together. And man, you know, he's Carolina through, man. He loves Carolina. Shammond, he got pictures still all over the wall. It's just like he come down, he said, that's my man Shammond right there, shoot. The best 3-point shooter that ever lived. I mean, he can't say anything bad about those guys. And he carries that Carolina blue. He carries every guy that I played with, every manager, every coach in his heart. And he still speaks it, man. He still speaks the truth, and he still speaks how much that university, like, not only like did for me, but did for him and my mom and my brother and my sister. So, you know, where every time, you know, you saw him every game, he was there.
But hey,
he had that smile on his face.
Yeah, if he wasn't in the building, hey,
something was wrong.
Get a little shaky now. Hey.
Yeah.
Jamison that, baby. Yeah. And you might go through some time and you ain't see it. Or you might, you know, go into halftime, he might pop out. There
right there.
There you go.
There you
go, man. You know,
he definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah, man. You know, he was a you know, sight for sore eyes, because you know a lot of times you just be so focused in the game, man. Yeah. And he just made, like, especially now being a man and being 45, man. You know, you look back and you say, man, he made the world like seem so great, man. Yeah. Just his energy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just his energy, man. And it, like you said, he was man. Ain't nothing ever go. You can never tell this thing went bad with him. You know, and
that's the thing. You know, as you have kids, because you know back then, Dad, like, leave Shammond alone, man. Shammond's good, but like, you know, I kind of catch myself with those same traits, because I recognize how important it is to see your kids happy, and I recognize how important it is to like help them, guide them, and just be like, you know, one of the boys. And to me, he was a dad, and he was a dad around all the other parents, around the coaching staff. But when he got around us, he was just one of the guys. Yeah. He kept it real. He kept it honest. Yeah. He didn't sugarcoat anything. And right. I needed that. And I think a lot of the guys on the team needed as well.
Hey, Shammond.
Yeah.
Hey, you got now you gotta do better now.
Never hesitate either. Yeah.
You gotta do better now. Come on now. You all right. You all right. You know, and you know, just we were blessed. You know, we were blessed to have him around. You know, your mother's awesome as well. You know, let's not make sure that we give her due. You know what I mean? She's awesome. But you know, Mr. Jamison, I could probably see Miss Kathy probably telling me, you don't need to go down there now. You don't need to go down there. I'm going down. I'm going down here now.
He did kind of walk to the beat of his own drum sometimes. Hey man, you supposed to be down here? He said, "Oh man, I'm good. I know what I'm doing." That's all right.
In the locker room. Yeah. But I guess people were smart enough to know, though, if you touched him now, it's going to be a problem now. You're going to have 15 dudes on you.
Yeah, he was a good guy, man.
Oh, man, he's awesome dude. So tell me, man, we're reminiscing, but tell me, how did you, I was there, but, and I can speak on it, but it's not for me to speak because people want to hear from you. How was it when you got to Carolina, being a freshman, being able to adapt to the Carolina environment? How was that for you?
It was a smooth transition. I think for me, Shammond, it was no high expectations. I think the pressure was more like, Vince was the highly touted recruit. Automotive came from a different country, so it was a language barrier, a real kind of tough adjustment. It's still tough now if you talk to Adi to this day. But for me to, come to Carolina with Vince and Adi, it was kind of a smooth transition. Corey came with Vince. So as freshmen, I had guys who was going through the same adjustments I was going through. Mactaw transferred to the school, so it was good to have that. I mean, Mactaw was that big brother kind of personality, the authoritarian of the team. And then to have Jeff, who kind of had the high expectations, Stackhouse and Rasheed just left, and he was the next to kind of move on to the draft. But I tell people all the time, for me, it was you made it to the point that you were still trying to figure things out, but you also have been through a lot more than what we've been through. Because a lot of the times when we was trying to figure things out, Shammond doing this, let's go follow Shammond to make sure you know what we're doing, and you knew your way around. To me, you was you was kind of like the president. Everywhere Shammond went, everybody knew. Shammond point, hey, how you doing? You knew everybody, and we was right behind your coattail. We like, hey man, Shammond, let's go, come here. You yeah, come on over here. So that aspect as far as on the court, getting the work done, because to me, Shammond, you got to think about it. And I look at the kids now, we didn't party that much. We didn't drink. We didn't smoke. We played basketball. Mm-hmm. Whether it was after practice, you come knock on the door, hey man, I'm about to go to the gym and get some shots up. And we was like, okay, this the norm. And we in the gym 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'm laughing now because to me, that was the norm. That was this is what you do. We went to practice early. We had school. We finished our homework. Everybody had that dream as far as making it to the next level. And here we go, Shammond, it's 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And we had to leave. We left you in there. I'm like, dude, I get it, Shammond. We putting the work in, but I'm tired. And for us as freshmen coming in, and we seeing that you trying to make that next step as far as having coach to have all this trust in you, your role was getting bigger, and we seen all the work that you put into the game. It just trickled down to us because you got to think about it. All 3 years, all of my 3 years, that's all we did. We ate, slept, and it was all about basketball.
That's it.
And had it not been for your guidance for us to see that extra work that we need to put into our craft, and just because we have success, we can't be just comfortable with that. To see how Mactaw was kind of like that vocal leader, even though his role wasn't, a lottery pick or a high draft pick, he still came in and gave work, and he was our voice, and he was that guy that we listened to and we gravitated to. And after Jeff and those guys left, it was you and Mac kind of paved the way and kind of you mold us until this is the type of things you have to take. These are the steps you have to take in order to be successful, not after we left Carolina, but at Carolina. Mm-hmm. And it was that was the first time Coach Smith had ever started freshmen. The second time after Stack and Rasheed was there. So it was a lot of pressure. I wouldn't say pressure, but a lot of responsibilities that myself, Vince, Adi, we had to take apart, because at that particular time, Carolina was rolling. They didn't have any non-successful basketball seasons. And I remember that first year after we lost to Texas Tech, and it wasn't a Sweet 16. We was hot. I'm getting dunked on. I got glass in my arm, and I'm the football team going around talking about, oh man, it's a football team, football school now, y'all, and I mean, and the thing I loved about it is that everybody had that mentality that no, not with this group. This ain't gonna happen. And that's the thing that, you know, I learned a lot of my work ethic from my parents, but making that transition from, okay, I'm not with my parents, and this is the type of thing I want to do in life. I had to learn all over that you just can't be satisfied with just the work that we did with the coaching staff. We had to go over and beyond, and we went through our ups and downs together. And I believe that's why we're so tight, and that's why we still, to this day, if something was to happen, we got each other's back. But I learned a lot making that transition from you guys, and all the success. I mean, I owe to my teammates. You know, Ed Cota coming in as a freshman, making the game easy. He learned from you and things of that nature. And when we had all the freshmen, Orlando Melendez and all those guys, Burstick and those guys coming in, They did the same thing. They was, you know, Brendan came in. It was like, you know how Brendan and Mac used to always But if you talk to Brendan now, Brendan couldn't stand him back then. But now he's like, you know what? I appreciate you being hard on me because I never experienced that. Because let's be honest, in high school, we all the man. I mean, just because of our athletic abilities, everybody was highly recruited, was a top player on their team. And now you meshing these different personalities and different styles of play together. And it was some friction there. It was some button heads. But the thing I love about it, we had that one common denominator, that one guy who always put us on one accord, who always made us believe in each other. And whether it was Michael Jordan or, you know, Scott Williams, everybody was treated equally. Everybody went through the same, you know, 12-minute, the mile run, the 12-minute run. We all did all that stuff, and we was treated equally, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that. And I want to say, you know, I appreciate, man, that you know, that following you, like you said, you was following my lead, but it was really working a different way because I was saying, shoot, these three dudes, the three amigos.
Yep.
The three amigos.
Oh man, it was funny and cool back then, but now, man,
the three amigos, I was sitting there saying to myself, shoot, they playing a lot. Well, you better do something. So in my head, you know, it's interesting because I think this way today, you know, and I used to tell the guys that when Harrison Barnes, I used to work with Harrison when he was in school, I said, Harrison Barnes is predicted to be the #1 pick in the draft.
Mm-hmm. I
don't see none of you other guys' names up there. So how can you catch him if you ain't in the gym longer than he is? Yep. And so, you know, I appreciate y'all following me because you know, the gym is what we needed to be anyway. But the reason I couldn't leave, I needed more minutes.
That's why I said, hey man, Shammond, we've been here for 2 hours, dog. You ready to go? No, I'm good. Y'all go. I'm like, and we was like, should we leave? And I'm all like, hey man, I'm tired, man. I get my seat, and I'm like, all right. But that's the thing, like Shammond. But that's the thing, like, I mean, without and not knowing that we was pushing you, we was just it was the example that we was following. Like, you know, you didn't have to come knock on our door. Hey man, I'm about to go to the gym. Y'all want to roll with us? You could have just went and gotten to work yourself, but you invited us to learn, you know, that work ethic and learn that just because we tired and we went through practice, because I didn't get the opportunity to shoot jumpers in practice. Everything was the mic and drill, drop step and stuff like that. Yeah. But when it came to you, like, okay, I'm out there working on, my jump shot and things of that nature. So it was like, it was interesting to see. And we just didn't go in there and just shoot. I mean, we went hard.
Yeah.
And it's funny, Shammond, when I watch these kids and I watch their workouts, is the one stickler is like, how do I compare this workout to Shammond? Like, you know, Shammond being in the gym by himself, this guy not even coming close. Like you don't see that, and I know I don't tell you this, but it's like I look at a workout and I'm like, nah, he ain't going harder than Shammond. Like this is not acceptable for me. And that's the sticking point. That's the line that I evaluate guys because I seen it. And I know that you got in the league because of that. You know, when you first got to Carolina, well, you know, is he a guard? Is he a shooting guard? You was able to do both. You know, and that's the thing that I tell my kids. You know, I was fortunate enough because just of my God-given talent. And then when I got to the league, I had to learn over. I had to start and reinvent myself because they didn't know if I was a 4 or 3. And a lot of coaches saw me as a different player, but just because of their work ethic and seeing like, okay, if I'm gonna work, I'm really gonna work. Right. That's how quickly I was able to improve. And that's the type of things that I instill to my kids to this day.
Yeah. Well, the people that were making decisions, the one thing they didn't understand about you was you were special. You know what I mean? Like, and what you brought to the game, I hadn't seen anybody like it.
Yeah.
There's nobody else that duplicates what you did and how you did it. And, you know, and rightfully so, you know, like you sit there and you know, and here it is, we're talking 20 some odd, 25 years later, like nobody's ever done what you did and how you did it. Yeah. And, you know, and I remember we won one game and I was sitting there, I said, Antawn, how, you know, because I was amazed, I said, how do you do that? And I correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong, but I thought this is what you told me. You said, Shammond, I'm able to look down on the floor and notice where I am.
Yeah.
I can look at the floor and notice where I am, and I know where the goal is according to where I am on the floor. And when you said that, I said, my God. You know what I mean? Like
most guys gotta like look and see things, but
no question.
At the particular time, the only thing I could do was use my quickness and the unorthodox shot attempts or style of play. So when I got the ball, I can have my my eyes down. I see where I'm at. I know the basket is right here. And the guys that were defending me would, you know, they outweighed me by 30, 40 pounds, and their height was 3 or 4 inches taller than me. So it wasn't, I didn't work on the quick stuff. I worked on the fundamentals with Coach Guthridge, the micing drill, the spacing of the hands and things of that nature. So that helped it out. But I had to learn quickly, like my freshman year, I'm looking at Ed Geff. I'm like, Ed Geff is an inch or two taller than me. He outweighed me by it's a lot more now, but then about 30, 40 pounds. So I'm like, I gotta find a way to get around Ed, because this me trying to back him down ain't gonna work. So I use my
back
quickness.
and roll it down. No sir. No sir. You got your head.
So I started using that quickness. I'm like, you know what? If I look down, I can see where I'm at. And I'm like, oh, I'm right here on the box. All I gotta do is, because half the time, Shammond, I'm scoring the ball and the guys are just now getting up to like try to contest the shot. So it was something that I never practiced. In college, I was always the most athletic, you know, and I just used that. But I had to like think, and it was kind of like I didn't know it was helping me. But, you know, before practice, you know, 100 micing drills with Coach Guthridge, I'm sitting there like, you know, why am I doing? But I didn't question it.
Right.
Coach Guthridge, he'd been there for a long time. Sam Perkins, all those guys.
All them people Coach Gut done posted up in his lifetime.
Yeah. So I said, hey, let me learn this the right way. And it came easy. And the thing I love about it is that, you know, we all had our individual goals that we wanted to attain. When we get on that court, Shammond, everything was collectively. And we did it together as a group, and we didn't question anything.
No question. And that was going to be my second part. Like, you know, people looked at how many points you scored and things like that, and your impact on the game, because your impact on the game was most definitely needed, and it was effective, most definitely. But people don't know how unselfish you were. And and when I say unselfish, I mean, like, I think they recorded it one time, like you had scored like 30 points in a game, and you had the ball in your hand for probably like,
it was 36 points against Duke, and I had the ball in my hand for like 52 seconds, 45 seconds.
52 seconds, yeah. 52, you know what I mean? Crazy. Yeah, it was crazy. So I was like, you know, I remember hearing that, I was like, man. And so, you know, but playing with you, I never, you know, you never said, hey man, you know, give me the basket, you know, like give me the basketball or nothing like that. Like you really played your role. Now, you know, the role was to get you the basketball so you could be effective and score. But, you know, it's not like that you actually were out there like, you know, like, man, give me the ball, I need the ball, or man, you ain't looking at me or something like that.
But Shammond, like that's none of us was like that. And that's the thing I love about Coach Guthridge. You know, you see Coach Williams the same way. Like, it's a system. Like, we have to do this collectively. I remember the time, you know, I think my sophomore year, we started the season like 0-3 and 0-2 in like conference play. We playing NC State. And like, you know, we just trying to figure things out. We down. There's no way we're gonna win the game. He gets in the huddle. He said, guys, calm down. We're gonna win this game. Yeah. You know, we're gonna go down, we're gonna run this play. Shammond gonna make this 3. They're gonna take the ball out. We're gonna first pass, we're gonna trap, cause a turnover, we're gonna score the ball. And I'm sitting here like, you know what, coach, that sounds good on paper, but I got you, we're gonna do it. Lo and behold, what happened? We drew the play up, you hit the 3, they turned, took the ball in, we trapped, turnover, we scored the ball, they make a timeout, and I'm like, I ain't never questioned him, but this man does know what he's doing. But the way he was able to get our attention and you've been on different teams after that in the NBA. It's difficult to get the 5 guys playing, the 12 guys, 15 guys on the team, all to have the same vision and all be on one accord with all their individual personal agendas. And to do that with a bunch of 17, 18, and 19-year-olds, that's difficult as I don't know what, Shammond. But he was able to do that, and I learned a lot. Because at that particular time, I was never selfish. In high school, I was called upon because I was the best player. Mm-hmm. But we've always, as Carolina players, been able to take criticism, to be able to listen. And to me, Coach Smith did the best job as far as whether it's practice, drawing something up, and then communicating it to us to the point where we were executed to the best possibilities. Yeah. And he instilled in us that unselfish play and playing together. After every pass, what we do? We point at the person who passed us the ball. Yeah. Everybody on the bench is jumping up. And that, you would be surprised. You experienced it, but when we took that next step, how many people in the basketball world, whether it was NBA, overseas, wanted to know, like, what was it like to be at Carolina and why we were so tight? Right. I remember my rookie year, and like Rick Fox was like one of the players I didn't really meet too much while I was at Carolina. First game we playing against the Lakers, he come over and we had like a 20-minute conversation. Mm. Here's my number. You need anything? Carolina, this and that. And it was real. Oh. Like, you hear people talk about the Carolina way and like, oh man, coaches, y'all Carolina guys, here y'all go with that, here y'all go, always Carolina this and Carolina that. But didn't matter if we played in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Now, we all went through the practices. We all went through that voice of Coach Smith and that whistle. Yeah. Coach Guthridge, Ward Williams. We all went through that, and we all kind of see ourselves as equal. And that's the way he treated us. And the most important thing, it was more than about basketball. It was about life. It was about family. Coach Smith used to get on me more about, have you called your parents this week, than he did about me missing, shots in film session or not being in a proper position defensively. And those things kind of trickle down to all the players. And like you said, we're using just about everything we learned from Coach Smith 20, 25 years ago with our own personal families and friends and things of that nature.
Think about 97, man. 97, going into your sophomore year, you ended up having a great freshman year. I think you freshman of the year, ACC freshman of the year. You might have been national freshman of the year as well. You had an outstanding season. Going into our sophomore year, Jeff had left. We started out kind of rocky in the ACC. Yeah. We lost our first game, I think, against Arizona in Massachusetts, the Naismith game. And, we won some games, and then we got to that I think we lost 3 games. Was it 3 games we lost in a row?
I think it was our first 2 ACC
First
games.
These games or something like that.
And
2 or 3.
And that NC State, yeah.
You know what was going through your mind at that time? I know it was going through mine, but like I said, this is about you today.
Yeah, I think for me, because the way we lost my freshman year, and the expectations that I know the 3 amigos and yourself and everybody kind of set upon ourselves, like, you know, we felt like we let Carolina down my freshman year, losing the way we did. I don't think we made it to the Sweet 16. I know we made it to the tournament.
We lost
Texas
in the
State.
second round. We lost in the second round.
So like to know that, I don't know when the last time Carolina lost in the second round, but to be a part of that and to know that all the work that we put in that summer to like not have that feeling again, and to start the season off with a loss and kind of to be kind of like, you know, up and down, just like, hey, we trying to figure it out. You know, is it me? Not, you know, something I need to improve on. And I remember, like, you got to think about it, Shammond, we was kind of walking on eggshells there for a while. I mean, everybody's head was down. You didn't see us on the yard with our smile. I mean, it was straight to school and back to our dorm rooms and back to practice. We were like, oh. So, like, to start out that ACC the way we did, I just remember just like, it was the kind of first time I kind of felt added pressure. Because, like I told you, making that transition from high school to college, I didn't know what to expect. Right. I didn't even know if I was going to play. And to have some type of success and get recognized as far as being one of the top freshmen, I kind of felt like, okay, my game has to step up and I have to be more of a leader on and off the court as well. And the way we started, man, we was trying to figure it out. But the thing I respect, and it all comes back to that one common denominator, is Coach Smith. He never sweat. He was always positive. That's the one thing about our group. We always worked hard. We always put in the work. We never half-assed anything. We did what was asked of us to do. And like I said, I remember that game before we played NC State, man. The campus was talking. Our football team was like, ranked number 3 that year. Yeah. It's a football school now. Yeah, basketball. Yeah, I was like, all right. And that NC State game, I remember it like it was yesterday, man. We the last couple of, it was like 50-something seconds. We like down 9. I was like, God. And I remember once we found the way, and I felt like that was the turning point, because I felt like, I told you how Coach Smith was in the huddle talking about, we're going to do this, we're going to run this play, we're going to get a turnover. And I felt like once that started happening, we trusted him. We always trusted him, but we really trusted. Yeah, that was Jesus talking now.
That was genius right there. That was genius.
And I just felt like that was the turning point for us. Yeah. Because after that game, you know, it wasn't always easy. It wasn't always downhill. But whenever we faced adversity, or we kind of hit that roadblock, you know, that freshman year, that roadblock kind of went a game or two. But that year, that roadblock was probably like 4 or 5 minutes, and we got right back on track, and we found a way to win games. Yeah. And I was proud of the way we figured it out. I felt like we was growing into our own. We wasn't freshmen. You know, I wasn't a freshman. I was a sophomore, and, you know, you was the junior. And it was like, okay, you know, we finally getting this thing rolling now. And after that, we was knocking them down left and right. Yeah. And I think the thing, and it would go towards what happened our junior year, you know, our goal was to make it to the Final Four. That was our goal. And I think, you know, we finally made it to the Final Four. Mm-hmm. And it was another opportunity for us to learn, okay, you made it to the Final Four, but I felt like by making it to the Final Four, we thought our season was a success already. we talked about championship, but we like, yeah, we gotta make it to the Final Four. We gotta, we didn't make it to the second round. We gotta make it to the Final Four. And then we get to the Final Four, and I give them credit. The toughest thing in life for me, Shammond, I was working with the Lakers, and Miles Simon was on the coaching staff. And those Arizona players, they're a little stuck up a little bit. Hey, Twan, how you doing? And he didn't say, hey, how you doing? Nice seeing you again. He had that, hey, how you doing? Nice seeing you again, 1997 look on his face. And I'm like, all right, Miles, I'm doing good. So they played well, man. Mike Bibby was a freshman. He played outstanding. Their bigs did a great job making it difficult for myself. And it's kind of the same thing in our junior year, man. Like that first 3 or 4 minutes, that's what the best team, especially like, you only got one game, and if you come out slow or you don't play particularly well, it's over with. But for us, it's like that first 3 or 4 minutes we struggled, and then it seemed like the whole game we trying to find a way to get back into it. And we played a team that was on fire.
Yeah.
And for me, that 97 year was, after the way we lost, I didn't think about leaving. But then there was a lot of buzz, was I leaving school or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I sat down and talked. And the one thing I respect about my parents is they're like, son, don't worry about us. Don't have taking care of, your family as a factor if you go back to college or not. Because I did felt like it was, something that was missing and something that I had to accomplish. And I still love college. I mean, like, before I had kids, man, that was the best years of my life, Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know what? It was difficult, man. Like, I remember that year, though, like, I slept for like a week. After school, I was just like, man, just the first time, like, having expectations and, North Carolina is accustomed to going to the Final Four, and this is one of the greatest coaches to ever coach, and you have all this talent around you. Like, we was destined to win it, and to lose the way we lost, it was tough to swallow. It was tough to deal with. But the thing, I respect about our team and the guys is that we didn't make excuses. We went back to a drawing board, and we had a whole nother level of expectations and things we wanted to do that junior year.
Yeah, that game was difficult because I didn't feel like I played my best that game either. But like you said before, it just brought back, hey, you know what? I got something to prove. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So when we got back, it was back in the gym again. You dig?
Yep.
So
yeah.
So we go into our going into 98, going into your junior year, going into my senior year. The whole premise was to win it. Mm-hmm. That's all the focus was. We had been to the Final Four, and all that, and ACC tournament championship and all that stuff. We wanted to win it. So, the focus was a little different. And so, the first night, we had a 12-minute run. Then coach asked me, you want to have a meeting?
I want to have one, bro. Okay.
Yeah. Y'all want to go back and shower, or you want to have a meeting right now?
Yep.
And we can have a meeting right now. To go in that locker room and to hear what we heard. Tell me how you felt when you heard Coach Smith announce that he was going to resign.
I thought it was a joke, man. Because Shammond, like you said, like, okay, our freshman year, 12-minute run, we go back, So, okay, like, and like you said, the expectations is there. Like, it's the same team coming back.
Yeah.
I think at that particular time, Brendan was a freshman, and he was the only one that had that type of the opportunity to play. But I'm like, it was our destiny to win this thing. We've been at this thing for the last 3 years. We getting closer and closer. Now we're about to crack the code. And then we get back and he started talking. I'm like, what? And man, I mean, I get it now as I'm older, but man, crying. I'm like, the hell? Coach Smith is retiring. Like, but the thing I respect, Shammond, and the thing that made our team and that team special is that we understood, we gathered the information. We knew that we was in good hands with Coach Guthridge. We didn't make any excuses. We went back to the drawing board, and I thought we was even more focused that year than anything before that season got started. For people who don't know Coach Guthridge, he's like Coach Smith's right-hand man. They've been together for 40-something years. Coach Guthridge was always the disciplinary of the two. And, you know, didn't miss a beat. But Coach Guthridge didn't let some things that Coach Smith, because Coach Gut used to always see things because that was his job. And, you know, we had, you know, Coach Hanners and Coach Ford there. And like I said, man, it was tough to hear that information. And like you said, it was 17, 18, 19 years old. And, you know, this is the first time that we've ever dealt with a coach resign and all of a sudden it's a changing of the guard. You know, as we get on to our next career on the NBA level, that's just like waking up every morning. Coaches change left and right.
Oh, Coach go? Oh,
yeah, he good. This guy's been here for a long. He's been here. He is Carolina.
Yeah.
So, you know, when I heard it, I was just like, it took a while to just process like what this is going to mean, you know, for the team, for the university, and for myself. For the team, blessed and fortunate to have the leadership of yourself and Mac, because you guys, it's time to go to work. You know, and I remember just your demeanor, like, hey man, I get it. It's time to go to work. You know, we can't. You back at your senior year, we didn't. You know, we got to figure out a way to continue to have this thing rolling the way it's supposed to be rolling. And you know, Coach Smith will always pop his head up. You can always see him in practice. He was there, and for us, it felt like we didn't want to let him down as well.
Right.
So all the things he taught us last 3 or 4 years, we couldn't slack up. We couldn't not still be focused because we knew we would let not only Coach, we love Coach Gut to death as well, but we couldn't let Coach Smith down. Okay. And I remember that year, man, when I said we was on cruise control. I mean, I think we might have lost 3 games before we lost in the Final Four, but just the chemistry we had. Coach Gut, like, look, every game, one of you guys gonna sit out. All right, Coach.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever, we don't care.
Right.
And, you know, it didn't matter who had how many amount of points the night before, the game before. We had a system, we was clicking, and just like every other team, we still had our bumps along the road, but we was there for each other. We cared. I mean, that's when we used to go like every Sunday, go over somebody's house and have dinner together. Yeah. And, you know, coaching them to put it together. That's what we did. That's how tight-knit we were. And that's how much we wanted to win the championship that year. And I just remember, you know, we had a couple of hiccups throughout the road. I remember playing at Duke was probably, I think it was something that we needed because at that particular time, we only lost 2 games. And I think we had won like 8 or 10 in a row. And I remember going to Duke, and that first half, we was cracking them.
We was up 18.
I never heard Cameron Indoor Stadium that quiet. And then lo and behold, man, I once again, it kind of brought me back to the previous year, our sophomore year, when we went to the Final Four. We was on a roll, and we just felt like if we showed up, this is what's going to happen. And we played hard, and we thought the game was over with, but everybody know when Duke and Carolina play, it's never over with. And I remember losing to them, and I remember just how disappointed and just like how distraught we was, because we was like, we definitely better than this team. And that prepared us for the ACC tournament. We played them again, wasn't even close. And I just remember, man, just like, this is our year. We've been through so much. We've been through the ups and downs. We really care for one another. We pull for one another. Our coach just retired. You know, he resigned. I said, there's no way that we're not going to win this thing. And Shammond, like, all the things in life I've been through, I have no regrets. I never say I want to go back and do that again. That is the one
thing.
That's the one thing in life I wish I could have a do-over on, because I mean, I know I could have played better. I know we was a better team than what we showed. And I remember when we went to Detroit, all of us went back when Carolina beat Michigan State, and Coach Guthridge was at the game. And I don't know if you remember this or not. We was walking out after they won, and Coach Guthridge was just crying. And I'm like, I said, Coach, I'm happy too, man. We finally won it. And he was like, nah. He said, I felt like, you know, I let you guys down because you guys should have experienced that feeling as well. And like, I never had, you know, we've been playing in the NBA a couple years after that, and you know, life has changed. And like, Shammond, I'm not gonna lie to you, after that year, I couldn't watch a championship game for like 3 or 4 years after that. I was just like,
oh, no question.
Every time, still to this day, every time I watch the Final Four, I think about San Antonio, Texas. I think about, you know, kissing that floor and not knowing if it was my last game, and just like, you know, how life would be different if my boys could experience that feeling, because I know the work and everything that we put into that season, and to come up that short, I know how disappointed I felt. And I just, that's the one thing, man, I wish I can go back and just do over. Other than that, all the disappointments I've been through, all the heart, I take it, but that's the one thing in life, man.
Yeah. Yeah, because, you know, you know, as great as a team, you know, we were blessed to be, that's the one thing that we don't have. You know what I mean? And start looking at the other teams.
You know what? Let me ask you this. So when you hear people say, man, y'all was the best team to never win it.
Yeah.
It's true, and I'm like,
I agree with
it. Yeah, it's like, man, y'all was the best team that never won it. And it's like, I appreciate you saying that, but I wanted to be like, compared to like, is this one of the best teams to ever play and win a championship?
Yeah.
But that's, I mean, like I said, man, things happen for a reason.
I seen something. I seen something had the Fab Five.
Yeah.
It had.
I can see that.
It had us right there. I was like, but going back, you know, you said something earlier, and I've never had this conversation with any of my teammates. Never. Mm-hmm. And maybe, you know, maybe somebody said something, but you know, I've never asked the question. What was your response when Coach came and said, we're gonna have a 6-man starting lineup?
It was something that was unorthodox. And I felt like I didn't have a problem with it.
Right. I mean,
I didn't have a problem with it when he first said it. Now, it took a game or two for us to kind of figure it out, because, you know, the rotation and like, you know, because as players, we're creatures of habit. You know, we have our routine, and we used to be in that starting 5, jump ball, this and that.
Yeah.
And for like, back for 5 or 6 games, like, you had to come off the bench. But when he said it, I didn't have a problem with it, because I was just all in.
Yeah.
And he was like, you know, we're going to have a 6-man rotation. I was like, okay, well, he's going to rotate who, McTaw and Adi or what? Like, I don't. But, like, I mean, literally, like, you know, Ed sit out this game, you sit out the next game, Vince, Adi, me, Mac. And, you know, Brendan was kind of, you know, he came in when needed. But, I mean, I was like, Coach, you know, you've been doing this for a long time. Whatever you need, I got it. But then as we start, you know, it was a Clemson game, and you down there in South Carolina, you not starting. I'm like, you know, it's different.
Oh, but, yeah. You know, preparation is different for sure.
Yeah, but we figured it out. But when he first said it, I was just like, I didn't 6-man rotation. Okay, we're going to have 6 guys that play, you know, most of the minutes, which we did. But Then, like you said, okay, you're gonna have to sit out this and that. And after that, man, well, that's the thing about that particular year, we were just so focused, Shy.
Yeah. But see, that's one thing that I go back to and I think about. Like, I do watch, because I was a college basketball coach. And so a lot of times you do watch the Final Four and stuff like that. So for myself, I always watch the Final Four. And the one question that I've asked myself is, if that question was presented again, from what I've seen of other teams that have won it,
mm-hmm.
there's always been somebody that was willing to go to the bench and be the sixth man.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy to say that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially after not attaining the goals that we had set. But there's always that one guy. Yeah.
I look at the Anthony Davis Kentucky game. I mean, you look at North Carolina, Marvin Williams came off the bench.
Yeah.
Second player, picked in the NBA draft. The Danny Greens. And I said, which I don't know, but I always say to myself, I hope that I would have, knowing what I know now, hopefully I would have had the humility to have said, you know what, I'll just come off the bench. I'll make this easy. I'll just come off the bench and just.
It's easy for you to say that, because I tell you one thing, because I'll be like, man, you're a senior, you're not coming off the bench.
But
we need it.
But the chance to win it, because you look at everything now. Like I said, ain't nothing else I would change.
Yeah, that's true.
You telling me I need to come off the bench to win?
But Shammond, I'll say this. Throughout that season, I don't think it really, to me, I look at it as, because we was able to sacrifice and because we was able to buy in, we had great chemistry.
No question.
That's the reason why I think we got to the Final Four.
Oh yeah.
To me, when I look at the Final Four, I look at individually, what can I have done better? And I got the box scores, and I look at my field goal percentage. I'm just like, that's not gonna do it. So I always go back to, like, had I, got the stop or got that rebound or start off with a better field goal percentage or made the correct pass. And when, especially a couple years after that, and I remember going back to San Antonio, this is when at the Alamo Dome, I used to blame it on, like, but everybody has the same, everybody got to play through playing in the Dome and things of that nature. So I get what you're saying. I just look at it as we had success. We was rolling. It was just, to me, it was just that first 3 or 4 minutes, man. Arizona, the same thing. That first 3 or 4 minutes, we went down. I felt like
we jumped out on them.
Arizona, that's right, because Vince was playing well. I remember Vince, yeah.
We jumped out. Yeah. And then we had a substitution. They called timeout. We had substitution. Then they came back.
Yeah.
But the Utah game, I was sitting there and I was like,
Yeah.
Oh man, we the guy there.
I'll tell you, man.
Go put my unit. I'm gonna take the bus. I'm gonna bust the glass. I'm gonna bust the glass.
Oh, you're going to 2,000 James to get ready.
I'm gonna go find Andre Miller. I'm gonna go find him.
You know what, man? I always talk to Andre, because we used to play a lot against each other, man. And no matter, like, he's always been humble.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, man, he said, I ain't gonna lie to you, I don't know how we beat y'all. He said, y'all was stacked. And he was like, I remember he was like, that coach Rick Majera, he was like, man, he said, this is gonna be the toughest task, because he said, these guys are loaded. And he said, man, y'all was stacked. He said, man, he said, I go back and I look at it, and he said, one of our best wins when we beat that team that year. And that was tough, Simone. I remember, man, like, I was just like, I was just so distraught, like, oh, because I felt like I told you before, I felt like it was destined for it to happen.
Yeah.
You didn't have no assholes on the team. You had great guys that cared for one another, and the coach left, the assistant coach coming in and taking over. It was just like, man, you could write a book on that championship team.
Yeah.
And to like come up short. And I was like, God. Like I said, it was this one thing only in life, man. And
that's it.
I've been through some tough times and I enjoy life, but that was the one thing. And I say it not because of me, but just the guys that we went, we played with, we practiced with, we went through all that stuff with, just to like see Webb Tyndall and Scott Williams and those guys, like, hey man, they got that ring on. You want them for those guys. And it's just like, I know I could have, helped, you could have helped, and we just came up short. But, every time I see those guys, Charlie McNary and all those guys, man, they're appreciative and just, we still have great moments. Like I said, I never.
We may have not won the national championship, but I think we are the closest team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 1 through 50, I think we're the closest team. So
yeah.
Well, going back, man, let's we talked about that. Let's talk about some refreshing things, man. So you talked about it earlier, man. How was it to have your daughter choose to go to the University of North Carolina?
Oh man, I got 5 kids, and when I start having kids, I'm like, you know what? It'd be nice to go to Carolina. And for her, I mean, she definitely get it from her mama, but the smartest individual I ever met. So independent, strong.
Mm-hmm.
I call her Sister Soldier, man. She's so woke, and she's like, waking me up and like enlightening me and like allowing me to like, I'm still learning. And that's what you want to do. You want to learn from your kids. So I'm like, hey, you need any help? I can try to like, she's like, no, I got this. See, I mean, she wrote a letter. She said everything in. She got it on her own. And to see her experience, the same things that I experienced 20-some years later, Shammond, is you can't put in words how proud you are. And to see what Carolina is doing to her, almost like what it did to me, mold her for the future, mold her for life after school. I tell you all the time, I'm blessed. I get on my knees every night and just thank them for like my health, my family, and my kids in general, man. And I'm telling you right now, I got 2 more. I'm hoping. They love basketball. I know they Division I. I'm praying that they can experience, and I think the oldest one, I think it's in his heart that's his goal. He won't say it to me, but to see my daughter and to hear her come back and tell stories to her siblings about Carolina, going to the football games, the basketball games. They ask her, how was Cole? Was Cole, how was he just walking around campus? And her to tell them stories. And I say is drawing us closer.
Right.
We've always been close, but her being my daughter now and her getting closer to like, really learning what life is all about, we have a lot more in common other than just being my dad and my daughter. So, right. I mean, the football game was on last week. I'm calling him like, who's this big tackle? This dude, you see him? It's just like little things like that, man. And just, I helped her move in. She's off campus, and with the pandemic going on, it's a little different there now. But just helping her do that. And I remember like my mom and dad coming to Granville Towers, and it just brings back. It puts things in perspective, man. To know that like it's a God up there, man, and he's finding a way to like let me reflect on the things that are important. And not too many, especially basketball players, can say that, my daughter or my son is at Carolina and the school they went to in particular, but it's actually has drawn us closer. A lot more topics to talk about and things of that nature. And, as a father, you're always proud of your kids. But when I say, man, she's a trailblazer.
Oh, yeah.
She gets it. And I mean, I'm proud of her and I love her, and it's just extra special.
Right. I'm happy for her too. She just played.
Yeah, she's tough.
Yeah.
Hey, Shammond, I was going around there trying to throw the sign up. She's looking at me. She's like, "You can't do." I said, "Oh, my bad," but she's passionate about it, and it's funny because as she was telling me stories and stuff like that, I started talking about you. I said, boy, Shammond being back in the film room, and I'm like, Coach Smith, like, Shammond, what was you thinking? And you're like, huh, Coach, what? And then we didn't know. We was like, man, Shammond been tired. Like, what's going on? And then, boy, when you was online and you came out, boy, we was so proud. We sitting there, you know, just happy for you. And
Yeah.
by seeing what you went through and the passion you had, and the thing I like about you and her both is not just because of the colors, it's about what it represents, what it means for the community and beyond. And she's on that same aspect as well. But it brought me back to, you know, seeing you and all the other stuff and the things you went through and how proud you were to, you know, to wear your colors and stuff. And I was like, you know what? I couldn't joke with Shammond about it. I'm definitely not gonna joke with her about it. So it's good though, man. She's growing up. It's crazy.
Yeah, man. She is. She's it. I'm proud of her too, man. I'm telling you,
because you remember ever since she was a baby.
Oh
so
yeah.
For you, it's just like
Yeah. You know, even when I was out there, you know, go to Memphis and stuff like that, and kick it with her. And when I seen that, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it's crazy. And let you know, man, these grades not coming in for a reason, boy. I'm getting old for sure, boy.
Hey, it's a blessing.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah.
Well, man, I want to thank you. I don't want to take too much more of your time, man, but I want to thank you, bro, for participating, man. I know the Carolina contingent will enjoy this and they appreciate it, but they don't appreciate it as much as I do, man. I want to tell you, man, I appreciate everything that you've done for me. I appreciate, you know, the relationship we have, man. You know, I love you. I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you. You know what I mean? You know, it's just, you know, it's, hey, what they say? Let me make sure I said it right. What's already known don't have to be said.
Oh, I guess. Hey, man, I learned a lot about life from you, man. Just the family and the way you treat people. I see how your mom and your brothers used to always show that love. And to me, it felt like that was my family as well. And
no question.
Like I said, we've been through it all. We love each other. We respect one another. And like I said, anytime any one of us asks or call for something, we there.
Oh.
And that's just, and I tell my kids, I tell this to like everybody, to the day we die, Shammond, that's how it's going to be.
That's how it's going to be.
And that's not just us talking as true love, as true respect. We care for one another's families. And it's, like I told you, man, if it wasn't for you, Mac, Vince, you know, Ed, all those guys, the Carolina family, the Carolina experience, I wouldn't be who I am today. I wouldn't be the father that I am, the friend, you know, the son. Like, I've learned so much from my experience with Carolina, and a lot of that comes from, you know, you had me in my freshman year. You showed me the ropes. You showed me how to, like, hey, man, many times we all went downstairs with bricks and bats and stuff like that. That's that brotherly, that's that older brother mentality that, man, you showed me. And that's something that to the day I die, it won't ever go anywhere, man.
Oh, ain't no question.
Yeah.
We're going to wait till we do group for that one. Somebody out there.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on. You stay right here.
Oh, yeah, we're talking about that one later.
Yeah, when I get the group for you, we're going to do that.
Yeah,
but yeah, man.
Well, I love you, man. I appreciate it.
Too, man.
You know, anything you need, but I got you.
No question, always. You be easy. Patrick Williams, baby. Patrick Williams. He's
on that list. I got you.
You take care, man.
All right, Shaq.
Talk to you later.